Hi everybody, how are you doing? I hope you're feeling well and I hope you've had another lovely day. Now, our little crafty catch-up today, well, we like to have Tag Tuesday, don't we? So do join us over on our Lavinia Few social sites and reach out with Lavinia. And I'd love you to share photos of your tags on a Tuesday. Seems good to do, doesn't it? So that gave me an idea to create a tag, obviously with it being Tuesday. But I thought I'd go for one with a bit of a difference. So if I just bring it up and show you, I'm using these beautiful rice papers, look. And you can see underneath we've got stamping of the design underneath. And part of it just pops through under the rice paper. And I've also made some beautiful flowers out of the rice paper. And this goes with our challenge this month, which is beautiful blooms. And I think these blooms are just fabulous. But I love the colours. I thought I'd go for something a little bit different. Almost these greens, violets, purples. So this is the sort of thing I'm going to create. And this is on one of our large watercolour tags. And even if you don't join in, I hope you'll just stay with me. Make yourself a brew and just see what we do. Now, if you've not seen the rice papers before, I'm leaning down, they're next to Eric. Now, the one I'm going to use, obviously I've used part of it. So this is this one, and this is called Oasis. Absolutely beautiful. And I'll just bring them in, the A4 size. And look at these. And they're just a beautiful weight. Easy to stamp on and cut out. I find them lovely to cut out. They glue very well. And I love the detail, look, the script here. So we've got high spirits, good vibrations, soulful and lily pond. And I just think if I look through them, look, each one, I love the cracks here. They're lovely if you just stamp on them, glue them onto your MDF. There's lots of things you can do with them. I love this. Look at the music notes. I'm hoping you can see. You know I'm not very good with my camera work. But just to give you an idea, if you've not met the rice papers before, and it's the first time I've used them, so I thought if I'm going to use them, you know, welcome aboard and you can have a play as well. And so what I'll do first is stamp on this. And then I'll move on to the tag. So the stamp I've gone for is the forest leaf, and I'm going to stamp in my black VersaFine Clair, the Nocturne. And I'm just going to stamp that. I like this bit here, and I want a bit of a margin because I'm going to tear around it. So I'm going to put that there. And a little tip, I always look, a good rice paper, the stamping doesn't go through to underneath. So that's a good tip. Now I'm just going to put that to one side. Now I will be using the beautiful moss flowers. And just to show you, look, I really do save every little bit. And I'm going to stamp one of the smaller moss flowers on here. I have already got some cut out, so don't worry. But just to show you, again, look. Stamps beautifully. Look at that. So we'll pop that to one side. And what we'll do is I'll just stamp on my tag while I've got... It's funny when you start something like this, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I always think, right, what's the best way? What do I do first? And, you know, often there's no right or wrong. It just depends how you're doing it. I love having those days where things just evolve. But then I suddenly think, how did I do it? What did I do? So we'll pop that about there. And then, you know me, I like to do all my stamping first. So I've got a lovely stamp, and this is one of our sentiment ones called Keeping Faith. And if you're not sure how it's going to look, again, use your acetate. I love the words in this. You've got motivation, compassion, belief, heal, purpose. Just, it's beautiful. But for this, I'm going to come in with the hawthorn rose. And again, if I'm not sure what the colour's looking like, I would stamp it on my copy paper first. Oh, it's alive. And second. And I actually want first, I want that vibrant colour. So, good job that wasn't on my tag, isn't it? I'd just say it was a grungy tag, to be fair. So, I'm just going to move it out of that. So, I'm going to stamp my first in sort of the middle. I like to do that. It's just the way my head works. And then we'll just stamp a little bit more down here. And a little bit more. And again, if you notice, I was mindful to turn my stamp round, but it was easy to do because all my sentiment stamps, I put an arrow on the back, so I know exactly which way they're facing. I will put that over there. We'll give that a bit of a blot. And then I'm going to add some colour to my tag. And as I say, this is one of the large watercolour tags. And the fact that it's a watercolour tag, I know it's going to take lots of ink and water. So I'm going to come in with Sahara. And I'm just going to, again, blending in the lid, adding some nice colour just around. And again, you don't have to be too precious over this. It's a great way of just adding colour. And don't worry if you get lines, because you know what, once we add that water, so this is the time you don't need to be over precious. And this one's the Midnight Blue. And I'm really into this colour with the orange and the brown. I know I've used it a bit recently, but I love the way it changes. Look at that. I think this is going to be great for like Halloween themed cards. Not that I've been thinking anything to do with Halloween, but I mean, where's this year going? August. We're in August. How did that happen? And then I'm going to come in with some Flying Fig. And this, I'm just going to use my smaller brush. I've gone down to the number 3 now. And just add a little bit of colour. Almost, I know I'm going to put my rice paper on top. But I've got 2 reasons for adding the colour. When I tear the rice paper and you can see a little bit of the design through, I think it'll look nice. The purple will really pop. But also, it will help me locate the design. But it does show you as well, if you needed to add quick colour, and this is very quick, the number 3 brush is ideal to do this. I just want this one darker up here, just in the middle, look. Yeah, happy with that. So that was the Flying Fig. And now the fun bit. Right, Eric's just knocked something off, so I'm just going to pick it up. That's fine. He was stretching, he just knocked something off my craft table. So don't worry, we'll be clever and edit that bit out. So, with my fan brush, I'm just going to come in and just add some nice water splats. Now, you can leave it at this if you want. Or, what's really nice is, especially where this greys look, add some water to the grey. And then just bring in, now remember the stamping, we used VersaFine Clay, so that's a permanent ink. So the Elements ink is a dye-based ink, so that reacts with water, look. So what we can do is just drag, oh look at the back, drag a little bit of colour here. Now these are the bits I love, when we get this and just let this run down here. Mop it up a little. And I just want a little bit in this bottom corner. And like I say, because these are watercolour tags, they will take so much water. So as well as you're splashing, you're doing a little bit of smooshing. And I love that. And if I just dry this up a minute, and then I can show you. So these bits now I will let dry. And on my finished one, look, So if you look at all these lovely bits here, look at those, and that's what those bits are, and you never know exactly how they're going to dry. So I love that. So, and I can see that already. Right, lovely. Gonna leave that. So while that's drying, I'll just show you the lovely, we've got our lovely rice paper here. Now, you can cut it out, tear it out, however you feel. This is just the way I do it. So I'm going to cut around it. But like I say, all these little bits I save and use, every last little bit. But I want to tear the shape now. And the best way to do this is get yourself your lovely Lavinia water brush. Look, this is the large one. This is the number 10. And just wet the rice paper where you want to tear it. So we'll just wet it at the top a little. And with it being fibrous, look, can you see? It tears beautifully. So I tend to literally go round and just tear. Now, I've got to think, this edge, I'll probably have quite a big edge on this edge. And I love these fibrousy bits, and almost tear away. Look at that, the fluffy bits. I love those bits. Right, so round to this edge. And I'll just put it straight to start off with. But then I want to have a little bit where I can see the pattern underneath. So I'm thinking at the top, in this top corner here, we'll take a little bit of that leaf away. Now it might be you want to put the whole design as it is, just on top, in which case I'm just coming in with something a bit different to show you. So if you personally think this is spoiling the design and you want to put the whole thing on, I just thought it looked like an old sort of torn piece of manuscript. But you want to put the whole thing, stop, and don't take any more away. I just want this middle bit here to come. But you see how by wetting it, you can be very precise. I just want this bit here a little bit more. There we go. And if I get a piece of, not sure how white that is, but can you see how lovely and fibrous that is torn around? So, love that. Now, with the flowers, before I cut them out, again, a little tip. So last time I was at Lavinia, I bought these 3 lovely Jelly Roll metallic pens. And I couldn't decide which colour, so I went for all 3. And where you've got this edge here, what I did was I went round, just alternating the colours. And I just found for me it made it easier to cut the flower out because I'd got that edge. Not only did it look nice, it made it easier to cut out. So as I say, I've cut those out. So if we bring the tag back in, I'm just going to run my heat tool over it just to check it's all lovely and dry. So again, a combination of kitchen roll. I love the back though, look at that. Now if you're going to write this, use it as a tag, I would add a little bit of ink around the edge and make that part of the design. Right, so that's lovely and dry. So when I bring this in now, look, and pop it over, I love the bit that we can see, just those little bits from underneath. So, bippity boppity glue, and I'm just going to add it. So I'm going to be mindful which one. So this one, it can glue at the top. This one I can glue fully. This one fully, and this one over this side. This one's this side. This one, yeah. Just pop my lid back on. And then now's the bit where you just sort of line it up. Now remember, your bippity boppity glue dries clear, so you have got that little bit of wiggle time. And I know you're shouting at me, left a bit, Jo, right a bit. Hang on, that bit's not right. That bit's on, that bit matches there, that matches there, that there, that there. Yeah. Happy with that? And that'll dry beautifully, but you can still see. Lovely. So, some finishing tricks. So, let's get our lovely flowers. Don't know how many I'm going to use. I did cut quite a few out, and I love that. I did it early in the morning, just having a nice coffee and just sat cutting the flowers out. And I've got some out of our lovely reindeer, this preserved reindeer moss. So I'm going to have a little bit of that on here. Now I'm also going to have some lovely craft yarns, and I've got some thread to add. And what I'll do is I'll put my craft yarns through before I start adding. Now, if you're somebody who struggles, look, I normally would make this, pop it through. If you struggle, I've said this before, just a piece of, this is just elastic, thin elastic. And it's easy to pop the elastic through. And then where you've got your craft yarns, pop them in the elastic and then pull that through. And hey presto, look, we've got those 3 loops ready. And I went for the sort of colours we've got in the design. So I think I've got all my lovely bits. Again, I like to get everything ready. And then what I'm going to use is the silicone adhesive. And I've just got myself this is actually one of those, I can't think of the name now, pointy tools. And I just use it for adding. So what I'll do is get some of my adhesive and just add this at the top. Just sort of round here. And then I'm going to add some of my lovely reindeer moss. I love this, and I thought the colours, it really goes well. And then I'm just going to put some on the back, and I think I'll put the larger flower just under there and scrunch it up a little bit. Now again, I've always said this before, I think I'm a bit of a frustrated florist because I love to just play. So maybe one here, and I think if you just sort of scrunch them up. Now your silicone adhesive, it will, this is sticks to one. It just does take a while to dry, but it does give you time to just decide what you're putting where. But I like that. Oh, my threads, thank you. Whoever shouted then, Jo, you forgot your threads. So maybe I'll just tuck that bit more under there. Well, let's get rid of that. We don't want to see that, do we? I can always trim these later if I want. But I think what we will, we'll add 2 more. I think I'm going to go that way. A little bit on the back. I think that might look nice there. And it almost holds the threads in place. One more. Turn it over. What do you think here? Just scrunch it up a little and have that just coming round. Right, let me have a look. Just stand back and have a look. Yes, I like that. I like that shape. I'm just going to wipe this. I was going to put it down, but you know what? Let's wipe. Keep everywhere clean. So, a couple of sentiments now. Now, I should have looked at these before, shouldn't I? Oh. Right, I like Inspire. Let's go for Inspire. Just get my scissors. And I've gone for the white. Obviously, we've got the black and the buff. And I just think the white really pops, look, against those darker colours. I might just put 2 on, one here. Oh, see, I was going to put your feet up. Do you know what? I'm going to go quiet time because I think we all love a little bit of quiet time, and hopefully you're having. And if you don't like this, you see how this is still open. I like the fact you can look underneath, but if you don't want to, just pop your sentiment across both and it will hold it down. I like the fact it's not attached at the edges, but again, we're all different, aren't we? So, nearly finished, but it didn't take long, did it? I know it would take longer to cut out, but I sneakily did that. White Posca. And again, if you want to add some glitter, I'm just going to go for the white Posca, and I'm just going to add some lovely small splats. But also then I'm just going to flick it. I want to get the odd larger splat look. So that's where it's more of a flick. And if I lift that up, so can you see? So I love these areas where we've got more of a flick, and look how it's dried. I'm really pleased. It just reminds me of just an old lovely tag. And the last little thing I'm going to add, and that's with our lovely liquid pearls, and this is Prickly Pear. Now a little tip here, I would always just pop it on your mat, check it's working, but then wipe it up, otherwise I'll just end up putting my hand in that, won't I? And then, now excuse me if my head comes over, I'm just going to pop it in the middle of the flowers, look, lift it up. So I'm hardly touching the rice paper, lifting it up. And I just think it adds that nice. Now again, this will take overnight, I always say, to dry, but it just makes, and I've put quite large blobs, and then as a final little finishing touch, just going to add 3 in this corner. And again, lift them straight up and they'll dry in a beautiful dome. And I lift that up for you to see. Got to make sure I don't put anything on top of that now. But those rice papers make beautiful flowers. So again, you know what? If you're just having one of those days, it might be it's nice weather and you want to sit in the garden. Or it might be, do you know what, it's raining and it's cold, so you want to sit inside. But just cutting yourself some flowers out of the rice papers, making yourself some tags, I'm thinking what a lovely idea. And if you make one this week, you could put it on next Tuesday for our Tag Tuesday. Wouldn't that be fabulous? So I hope that's given you lots of ideas. And I hope if you've not thought of using our beautiful rice papers or just tearing them for that gorgeous finished edge, I'm hoping it gives you an idea of something to do. So please tag me in and share what you do, because such a lovely community and we all love to see what each other do. I think I'm just nosy really, but don't tell anyone. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll pop back again soon. You take care. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.